Linus Tech Tips, the popular YouTube channel with millions and millions of subscribers, has banned a user from their corporate subreddit r/Linus Tech Tips for saying, and I quote, "All racism is bad." The individual in question, who was banned from that subreddit by members of the Linus Media Group staff, sent in this screenshot, and it reads as follows: "Hello, you have been permanently banned from participating in r/Linus Tech Tips because your comment violates this community's rules. You won't be able to post or comment, but you can still view and subscribe to it. Note from the moderators, this comment may have fully or partially contributed to your ban. Do we treat everyone equally? Yes. Even though certain classes of people has a huge leg up? Yes. You don't fix racism by being racist to other groups. To balance things out, beep. I can't stand this argument. All racism is bad," end quote. Now, there was one naughty swear word in the quoted comment. However, that does not appear to be a cause for banning. I did a quick look through Linus Tech Tips, and people swear like drunken sailors in there. So that is definitely not the cause of it. The cause appears to be centered around the statement that all racism is bad. I did a quick look into this, and one half of the moderators of the r/Linus Tech Tips subreddit are parts of the staff of Linus Tech Tips, Linus Media Group. That's the company behind them. I reached out to Linus Media Group, including Linus Sebastian, the owner of Linus Media Group, which bears his name. And I have yet to get a response. I've emailed, I've direct messaged, I've tweeted, I've done just about everything I can to get a statement from them, and I've gotten absolutely nothing. In fact, I posted these screenshots that I just showed you over on X, and they've been seen and reshared, and I think they've been seen a couple 100,000 times now. I sent the following statement over to them publicly. Quote, "Yesterday, I reported that people are being banned from Linus Tech Tips for saying all racism is bad. It has now been verified that 3 staff members of Linus Tech are moderators of that subreddit, which Linus Tech Media uses in their show production. To Linus Sebastian, why is your company banning people for saying all racism is bad? Does your company, which bears your name, promote the idea that some racism is good? Or that all racism is bad? What exactly is the message there?" It's a very strange stance for a tech channel to be making, in my personal opinion. But why is all this important? Realistically, what one organization does in one of their forums or social media accounts relating to banning someone or muting someone or general overall moderation, that's not terribly interesting all by itself. Because realistically, Linus Tech Tips is allowed to mute or censor or ban whoever they want within their organizational communities. You know, there's subreddits and forums and whatnot, for whatever reason they want. I mean, they can. It's like essentially a country club there, right? You go to the Linus Tech Media subreddit or forums or whatever, and they don't want you there. They can say no shirt, no shoes, no service, get out. It's up to them to make the rules and enforce them how they see fit. However, this is part of a much broader problem, and Linus Tech Media continuing this problem is noteworthy. Specifically, I want to point this out. Within the tech industry, and this includes open source organizations, foundations, big tech companies, and tech news. That includes YouTubers, podcasters, tech magazines, tech online print publications, the whole works. The following statements hold true for 99+% of them. The first is that centrists and conservatives are silenced and banned from participating with great regularity. This is a thing that happens almost constantly. The second, only extreme leftist views are allowed within those forums, public channels, and the like. And I'm talking extreme leftists. I'm not talking people who are, just your average run-of-the-mill person who leans a bit left politically. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about extreme leftists. You got to go extreme. That's the only set of views that are allowed within a lot of these places. And the third, racism and bigotry are acceptable of certain categories. And those specific categories, and I'm just going to lay it out here, that are absolutely, where bigotry is absolutely allowed against them throughout almost the entirety of the tech industry, is being white or Asian, being a man, being Jewish or Christian, right? And publicly Jewish or Christian, being centrist or conservative, or being straight. And if you're any combination of those things, woe be unto you, because you are cruising for a ban, my brother. You don't have to even say anything. If they smell that you are, say, an Asian male Christian centrist who is straight, you're straight out. Me, I'm a white man, Jewish conservative straight man. I all the check boxes, so I'm banned from almost everywhere. And this isn't some sort of a theoretical thing. We've seen this play out over and over and over again. For example, if you look at tech news outlets, which Linus Tech Tips and Linus Media Group is one. In fact, they're one of the largest tech media outlets on planet Earth. They reach millions of people every single week. I mean, honestly, probably millions of people every day. The number of times their YouTube videos are viewed by people looking for tech news, tech reviews, and the like is absolutely astronomically large. And with Linus Tech Media out there pushing for banning people for saying that all racism is bad, that really falls right in line with what you see from the rest of the tech media. For example, this last year, we saw some massive news in the form of several companies being sued for being racist in their hiring and firing practices, right? Extreme racist, where they discriminate against hiring and firing of people based on their skin color, their gender, or in some cases, even their religion. Now, we saw a lot of tech news outlets ignore those stories completely. And we saw others actually try to actively spin to protect the big tech companies who are out there promoting racism. We saw that when the Register came to the defense of Red Hat and IBM for being racist. And the Register was like, yeah, this is great. It was amazing. We saw tech journalists throughout the industry literally rally just this last January in support of both racism and sexism. This is an actual thing that happened. If you go back to a January 17th show I did entitled Tech Journalists Rally in Support of Racism and Sexism in Big Tech, I have a huge number of examples of right before, right in the days leading up to and in the days after the Donald Trump presidential inauguration, which happened in January, there was a lot of news happening within big tech organizations where Meta and many others were rolling back some of their racist initiatives, some of their censorship programs, some of their racist and bigoted hiring programs, and the like. And journalists were appalled. Save me from rich white men. That was an actual quote from a tech journalist, and it was off the charts. We saw during the same week period, we saw one tech journalist who runs osnews.com come out and hope for the assassination of President Trump. And another one promoting the conspiracy theory that President Trump, the assassination attempt on President Trump, was staged and couldn't have possibly been real. Though some of those same tech journalists also called for my personal murder because they don't like conservative Jews. And this goes on and on throughout all of tech media, which Linus Tech Tips is part, and they just keep perpetuating this. Silence anyone who speaks out against racism and promote racism. This is a thing that over and over and over again. And the big tech platforms, they kind of perpetuate this as well. I got banned from Blue Sky, the totally like kind of left-leaning woke-ish alternative to X that sprung up. I got banned from Blue Sky for posting a series of pretty common views. I didn't post anything hateful. I didn't post a bunch of swear words. I didn't threaten anybody. I posted a series of common views about just, political stuff, and boom, was censored. And again, all of these are well documented in shows, so you can go back and look at those last shows. That one was from December 28th of this year. And then it's crazy stuff. Twitch. Remember the October 7th attack on Israel, where Hamas, attacked a bunch of Israeli babies and whatnot. After that happened, Twitch decided to ban all of Israel. This is a real thing that happened. Twitch rolled in and was like, I don't really like Israel and apparently Jews and Israeli politics, so I'm just going to ban all of Israel and unban a bunch of anti-Jewish terrorists. And this was in response to the October 7th attacks, right? So, I mean, a lot of these things are sort of happening. Over the last couple of years, I've had multiple examples where I've joined a Mastodon server, right? Part of the Fediverse social media network, only to be not just banned from that server, but my existence on whatever server I joined caused that server to be banned by all other Mastodon servers. So me coming in, conservative, white, straight, Jewish guy, that is so offensive. Just horribly offensive to everyone who is on the extreme left in the tech world, that they are willing to ban and block en masse everyone who simply exists on the same server as me, right? Mass censorship campaigns. And we see this throughout open source projects as well, to an intense degree. NixOS, popular Linux distribution, committed in their words, purge of Nazis. Now, of course, they weren't really purging Nazis. They were purging anyone who was centrist or right-leaning politically, right? Including their own founder. They kicked their own founder out of the project. It was crazy, because they couldn't handle someone being opposed to racism or opposed to sexism. So if you're opposed to those things, you have to get out. The Godot game engine did the same thing. A big open source video game engine. They enacted a cleansing of non-woke supporters. OpenSUSE, one of the oldest Linux distributions in the world, spent multiple years tracking down, hunting, and banning any member they could find who smelled a little bit conservative. In mass. And it got so bad, they banned so many people that when this time came to hold elections for the OpenSUSE Linux board of directors, they spent months continually extending the deadline for nominating people to run for their board of directors, because nobody was there. No one was there to say, yeah, I'll run for the board of directors. They had 3 open seats, and they had to extend it, I think, 3 times, because not one person was interested in stepping up, because they banned everybody. They were so against people who were not an extreme leftist. If you were centrist or conservative, banned. Outright banned. It was intense, and it was nuts. Similar things are happening in the Linux kernel project, where extreme leftists, I mean real extreme leftists, have been demanding that conservatives be banned from the Linux kernel. And they feel so passionately about this that some of them, after having failed at getting some of the Linux kernel developers who are conservative to be banned, decided to they themselves leave, right? Right? And it's been chaos. And that right there is 4 examples in the open source world of hundreds, nay, thousands of such examples, many of which I've covered here at the Lunduke Journal. And it's been going on and on and on. So this is not a hypothetical thing. This is not a perceived or imagined slight. It's a real significant impact on the entirety of the tech industry. Centrists and conservatives silenced and banned from participating. And only extreme leftist views are allowed. And we're talking in the reporting in the tech media. You don't see The Register or ZDNet or Linus Tech Media covering any of the biggest news stories of the last several years at all, because some of those big tech news stories make people with leftists leaning politics kind of look bad. I mean, it's just the truth of the matter, right? You don't see those being covered, like for example, the crazy racism happening at Red Hat and IBM, the weird programs at Microsoft where they're encouraging 3-year-olds to get sex change operations, which sounds like a psycho conspiracy theory. It sounds like something that Alex Jones would only say after he was like hopped up on drugs, right? It sounds crazy, but it's real. And we've reported on it here, along with the massive amount of documentation behind it, and then Microsoft's own statements where they're like, yeah, this is great. It's off the charts. Only the craziest extremist of leftist views are even allowed. And so when Linus Tech Media comes out and says, you know what, if you even suggest that racism is bad, you're banned. That just continues that forward, silencing any voices that try to promote some sense of rationality, that racism and bigotry are bad. Because the general stance is that racism and bigotry are absolutely acceptable against white and Asian people, men, Jewish people or Christian people, centrists or conservatives, and straight people, men or women. It's just the way it is. And here's the thing. This is gross. That is just disgusting. I am very much opposed to racism and sexism and so many isms. I'm opposed to a lot of these things. These are not good. I like meritocracy. I like people being able to stand on their own and shine and excel based on their own hard work, their own talents, because of who they are as a person, not because they fit into some categorical checkbox. And I hate the idea that people would be discriminated against because of skin color. Who cares, man? And it's crazy to me that this needs to be said. It's 2025. And you have organizations like The Register actively defending racism and sexism in big tech companies. You have Linus Tech Media and the Linus Tech Tips folks, their employees actively censoring anyone who would say something as simple as all racism is bad. That's nuts. That's nuts. This is Nerdsville, man. We're supposed to be able to just be nerds together, regardless of who we are, who our grandparents were, or what religion we are, or who we're married to. Like, regardless of all of that, and we can disagree on a bunch, but we're nerds. We're supposed to be able to come together and hang out and nerd out about nerdy things, not go around banning and censoring each other. Now, if this had just been an example of, let's say, the head of Linus Media Group, Linus Sebastian, if he had just come out and on his own account muted some people he didn't like because he didn't like their politics, this wouldn't be a story. That's not interesting. What happened here was straight up saying, you are not allowed. People are not allowed to say something like racism is bad. This is taking a hard political stance, banning anyone who would disagree with that extremely hard, extremely disgusting political stance, and continuing to push the entire tech industry in a direction that is not cool. Not cool at all. We keep talking about this sort of thing, and we're going to have to keep talking about it until people screw their head on a little bit straighter. Now, what am I asking for people to do here? Well, I'm not asking for people to do anything. I'm not asking for people to boycott Linus Tech Tips. I'm not asking for fans of Linus Tech Tips to stop watching those shows. But be aware of what's happening, right? Be aware that the entirety, 99% plus of all of tech media of all kinds is not just extremely biased, but all extremely biased in one specific direction. Many people have asked, why, Lunduke, do I cover all of these things that are happening, all these objectively not good things that are being perpetrated by extreme leftists in tech, but Lunduke is never covering stuff that people on the right do? And there's a very simple answer for that. I can't find it. I've been hunting high and low for examples because I want to be reasonable and fair and even-handed in my coverage. I want to find examples where tech organizations, tech media platforms, big tech media platforms like Linus Tech Tips and the Register and whatnot, are actively promoting specific censorship of all ideas that they disagree with, right? I have yet to see a conservative-run open source project enact a purge of leftists. I've never seen that happen. I haven't seen it. I don't think any of you have either. Is there an example out there somewhere? I guess maybe. But I tell you, I've spent the last couple years looking high and low at every significant open source organization, big tech company, and the like. And I can't find any that are right-leaning and they're discriminating against people who are left-leaning. I can't find it. I can't find any examples of an organization, a publication, a YouTube channel, like a big one, a tech company and the like, who is run by right-leaning folks who are engaging in any of the kind of bigotry that we are seeing within the tech industry. I can't find it. It doesn't appear to be happening at all. And so when I come out and I point to the extreme leftists doing it, I point to the extreme leftists doing it because they're the ones that are doing it. Now, that's not to say that there are no people on an extreme right or something else that are not bigots. Sure, there's bigots everywhere. There's bigots high and low and up and down and left and right. There's gross people. There's bigoted people everywhere. But within the tech industry, I haven't found any examples of conservative-run tech organizations that are actively promoting that sort of bigotry in any way. I haven't found it. I haven't found it. It's worth thinking about. It's worth pondering over. And I just want to make sure I put that out there because I'm open to it. If you see it, if you come across a big tech company that's run by a conservative and they're actively promoting discriminatory policies and they're saying, yes, we're going to be bigots against this group of people because of who they are, let me know. Let me know, because of their skin color or their who their grandparents were or what their religion is. I've never seen anything like that. Nothing. I've looked. I would love to hear about it. But what I would love to see is I would love to see a response to some of this. I would love to see Linus Media Group respond to this because again, I'm not calling for a boycott here. I'm putting this information out there because people should be aware of what's happening. Do I think that it's gross? Yeah, I think it's gross. I'm not a fan of bigotry. But really, what I would love to see is I'd love to have a conversation. I would love to see Linus Sebastian come out and say, you know what? Here's why we do this. Here's why we ban people who say that racism is bad. Here's why. I would love to see that response. I would love to be able to have that conversation. Maybe on my show, maybe on his show, maybe just in a series of tweets. I don't really care. But the conversation should be had. Should be had. Thank you to all the Lunduke Journal subscribers for allowing me to do all of this work, because nobody else is doing it. So there's no competition to the Lunduke Journal, which is kind of nice. I keep expecting real competition to crop up to the Lunduke Journal because it's such an obvious thing. But no, none has come around. No one has said, you know what? I think we'll do real hard-hitting journalism that actually stays completely clear of any advertising revenue and influence from big tech, no big tech money, and we're gonna stay clear of some of the woke mind virus stuff. I keep expecting something to crop up, and nothing has. So I keep going then. But thank you to all the Lunduke Journal subscribers who helped to make all of this possible, because again, if we weren't covering the stories like this one right here, nobody was going to cover it. So thank you for making all that possible. Go to lunduke.com and click on all the links. It's the best website on the whole planet Earth. Lunduke.com, one page, just pure HTML. It's a couple of tables and some links and one picture. Best website. But anyway, thank you to all the subscribers. I could not do this without you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare end broadcast.